All right, greetings, Friendpreneurs. Welcome to another episode of Friendpreneur Fiyah, podcast Unbound. I am your host, Tiffany Bargeman. I'm the CEO, founder, and visionary of Friendpreneurship, LLC. This is a business support service that builds community by connecting entrepreneurs through targeted networking and live storytelling events like this one. And tonight, I have a special guest here. But before I introduce him, I want to just give a few announcements and let you know what's coming up for Friendpreneurship. So, as you know, if you've been following Friendpreneurship, we've been on this journey for about a year. And in the meantime, some of you have come to follow, to know, and understand what Friendpreneurship is all about. And we have core values that are promote, support, and repeat. I want to define what a friendpreneur is before we bring our guest on because he is the epitome of friendpreneurship. A friendpreneur is a friendly entrepreneur who isn't afraid to bring others along for success. And when I meet people who are entrepreneurs who fit this category, I just try to make connections with these individuals to see where our visions intersect so that we can help our entrepreneurial community collectively. So tonight with me, I have a financial coach. This is Corey Barbour. Just let me tell you a little bit about Corey before I bring him on stage. So, more than 20 years of experience in the banking industry and a big heart for small business owners makes Corey Barbour what Friendpreneurship calls a Friendpreneur Fellow. This business and commercial capital consultants banking industry expertise has given him a direct and in-depth view of the cash flow challenges that entrepreneurs face. And if we know statistics, 50% of small businesses fail within the first 5 years because of cash flow issues. So, since he has a direct vision into these issues, I want him to talk with us about how entrepreneurs can gain access to capital, but first to understand what kinds of funding and capital is out there for them. The great thing about Corey is he has also witnessed the transformative power that financial education and empowerment can have on businesses. Once we know better, we do better, right? So if you're a financial coach, I'm sure, and we'll talk to him about this, it gives you some satisfaction to see that the education you provide makes a difference in an entrepreneur's business. All right, so I'm going to bring Corey on stage and we're going to hear from him, his why, because I love to start with the why. Welcome, Corey. Thank you so much for
Sure.
joining us.
Yeah,
It is
thank you.
Sunday, it is cold, but we are cozy here for this great conversation. I'm ready for it. Are you ready?
Yes, hey, listen, thank you for the Sunday church announcements. You did them so well. Everybody govern yourselves accordingly on this
Thank
Saturday
you.
night. Sunday night. Look at that.
Sunday night. Yes. Okay, so Corey, before I've already given the spiel, but I want to hear from you
Yes.
why you do what you do.
My why started from what I've seen, right? So I'm a country preacher's kid from Goldsboro, North Carolina, who had the opportunity to see one faith in action. And not only see faith in action, but see how finances can fund a kingdom work. So my father started a ministry over 40 years ago at a hotel and has grown it and now has 53 acres. And so that was something that instilled inside of me. So when I got of age and I started doing entrepreneurial things, whether it's real estate or the stock market, I realized that money wasn't everything, but it was involved in everything. And so with that, I needed to learn and understand how it works. There lies the beginning of my journey with 2 decades when it comes to banking. And so my why is understanding that money's not everything, but it's in everything. And I would much rather be able to stroke a check when Tiffany's niece needs money to go to Fayetteville State opposed to pray about it. I believe I've been called as a marketplace minister to do those exact things. And so people without information, vision perish. And so my job, my responsibility with what I've seen and what I've executed on is to make sure that we have the right information and the right strategies to be able to do that. And that's my heart because I've seen so many great businesses that don't have the right information or the right strategy and get declined, especially when we really start talking about overall numbers. And then when we drill down to people that look like us and minorities and females. And so it's a part of why I do what I do is to make sure I put capital in the right hands of people.
I like what you said about prayer and doing. Yes, we can pray and we can have the faith that God is going to work things out, but he gives us hands, he gives us capabilities, he gives us the wherewithal, and he gives us the brain power to
It does.
actually put our hands to work. So
A
we
sound
are
mind.
his
Yeah.
workers. Yes. Yes. All right. So I come to you tonight with a few different scenarios in my
Okay.
mind, having
Mhm.
talked to entrepreneurs, gotten to know the different challenges that certain ones face. I just came up with some questions that I think friendpreneurs might ask. Just a few, because we only have 30 minutes, and I wish we had longer than that. But I want to present those questions to you. But first, ask you, what is the most frequently asked question that you get from entrepreneurs?
Yeah, it's how do I access capital for my business, Corey? And that's a question within questions, because for our company and what we do, before we spew off information, we really need to take a look at the GPS of your business, right? And in essence, when you put in your where you're going in your GPS, the biggest thing that helps it be efficient is it deciding and finding out exactly where you are. And so when people ask that question, I like to delve into where a business is, depending on if you're in your first year or your 10th year. That matters. Depending on if you're cash flow positive or cash flow negative, all of those things matter. And so that's the biggest question we get. And that's what we help clients with.
Mhm.
It is either preparing them, right, consulting them, putting packages together to help them effectively access capital, or accessing it for them, providing it for them. So that's the biggest question I get. Corey, how do I access capital to grow, scale, and sustain my business?
Grow, scale, and sustain. Okay, that's good because there are three types of friendpreneurs,
Yeah.
right? And I would like you to answer this question for each type.
Okay.
Okay, so a Friendpreneur Fellow, which is what you are, we're a subject matter expert. You've been in business for a while. You've got some miles on your belt and you know what you're doing, right? But you still have a business and you're always scaling, elevating, and seeing what's next. Okay. And
Okay.
then you've got a colleague, that's the second level, someone who's been in business for a while. They are doing well and they're pressing forward, but they need exposure for their business,
Mhm.
right? The third category is peers, and these are new entrepreneurs just getting into the game or thinking about it.
Yes.
So if you're a peer, you can be new to the game or you can be someone who just loves supporting small business.
Okay.
So say a Friendpreneur Fellow walks into your office and says, "Hey, Mr. Barbour, I've been doing this a while. I just need to know how in the world I can scale my business to, for example, get a building now.
Mhm.
I have been doing this thing for a long time, but I want to be stationary and I want a building where I can serve my clients best, hire some people who can help me out and make sure that they have the tangible services they need in a static location. What's
Yes.
my next move? What kind of money can I access for that?"
Yeah. So one of the questions again that I'm going to do is I want to locate where they are, right? And all of
GPS.
that's great and all of that's high level. But in essence, when you go and you start talking about accessing capital, just like if I asked you right now, Tiffany, to borrow $100,000, you would want to see some documentation of how I'm going to pay you back. And
Absolutely.
so to locate a client, I would say that's great. Tell me about your business. Tell me about where you currently are. Talk to me about your cash flow. Now, this
Mm-hmm.
fits into the 5 C's of capital, and specifically, it is capacity. Because
Mm-hmm.
as we take on additional debt, we need to have the cash flow or the capacity to be able to handle that additional debt. All too often, we as businesses, we want additional capital when we
Mm-hmm.
may or may not have the additional cash flow to support that. I give the analogy of, I have a brand new 1-year-old baby, and
Mm-hmm.
this baby just started walking on their own, right? And so I take a book sack and I put bricks in that book sack on the back of that baby. It is going to pull that baby down and, in essence, probably damage that baby. This is the same thing that sometimes we do when we talk about accessing $100,000 or $1,000,000,
Mm-hmm.
because you go from, if you access that kind of money, then your break even now increases. And so that cookie that you used to sell for $4.95, in order to break even and pay back that money, that cookie now needs to be $8.95. And so again, everything with me, and this is everywhere, a conversation with Corey. Everything starts with a conversation with our company, because
Mm-hmm.
all too often, and it's a red flag if you are talking money with someone and they start to spit out suggestions without asking questions. you need to run. And so that's the beginning of the conversation that I would say, talk to me a little bit about your business. Talk to me about your cash flow. Okay. Talk to me about your current credit situation. What does that look like? What are the conditions of the market right now? Right. Is it collateral associated with it? In this scenario you just gave me, the collateral is the building. And so banks feel a lot more comfortable with collateral. Now, for those that are listening, what is collateral? Collateral is in essence something that the institutions can pull back and sell. For example, Tiffany, again, I need to borrow, let's break it down. I need to borrow $10,000. And so she says, okay, you got anything I can put a lien against where if you don't pay me, yes, I got a vehicle that's worth about $17,000. You can put a lien against that. So when I don't pay Tiffany back, she can then go get that $17,000 vehicle, sell it, and be whole. And so in this scenario, a lot of the C's are answered, but we need to delve into it and figure out which one do we need to take action on. And so that was grand. But again, it speaks to locating the client and then find out which C, whether it's credit, whether it's capacity, whether it's conditions, whether it's collateral. Those things can all change depending on the specifics of the opportunity with the client.
Okay. And I like what you said about getting to know the person's business first, because otherwise, if you're just spitting out numbers, throwing money, it's kind of like a doctor writing a prescription for a condition without listening to the client or the patient about all of their, history and all of that. And it's a dangerous thing. Things can be overlooked that'll bite you later. So that makes a lot of sense.
In addition to that, in the medical field, it's called malpractice. In the financial field, it is no. And so just like you could die from taking the wrong prescriptions, your business could absolutely die from taking the wrong prescription or not being prescribed the right medicine or fuel or capital to grow your business. So that's a great example.
Yeah. And this is where relationship comes in. Someone said to me the other day, I got a notice from my homeowner's insurance that they were not going to renew for some reason. I can't even articulate it, but now I have 3 months to find another homeowner's insurance.
Okay.
That person said, which bank do you bank with? You should see if they have a bundle package with the insurance company that they work with. And I thought, I have seen stuff like that. It comes across, you get all this mail and whatnot, and you say, okay, that doesn't apply to me. You get rid of it. But now I'm going to look into that. Relationship with your banker. How important is it, the relationship, and how do you foster these relationships?
Yeah. So the relationship with your banker is critically important if you're going somewhere. I'm going to assume there's a couple of things that I'm going to assume that the businesses that we're talking to are going somewhere, are looking to grow, are looking to better. In addition to that, I'm going to assume that they want premium money. I'm not going to assume that you want fast money. I'm not going to assume that you want me to tell you how to tweak your credit score in 30 days and be able to go out and get 4 credit cards at $25,000. And now you have $100,000 in credit card, which is the highest possible interest rate. But no, Corey, it's 0% interest. Yes, for a period of time. And then it turns back to 26 to 29%. I'm going to assume that that's not this crowd. And so I would say one of the beautiful lessons that my father taught me at 16 when I opened my first account is he said, Corey, if you do this right, if you steward this relationship and don't play with it, it's Sunday. Because you're a church girl, I'm a church boy. If you steward this relationship properly, they will give you more money than you give them. Now, banks are in business to lend money. They really get paid essentially 2 ways. They get paid from fee income generated from fees, and interest income. So it is in banks' best interest to lend money. And so if you steward that relationship properly, they will lend you money. Now, there's some things that get in the way. Life happens, different things. We may have some information challenges or some system challenges. And yes, there are systemic challenges. But I would encourage people who are going somewhere to have a conversation with your banker. Now, let's be very, very, very specific with the type of banker you need to talk to, because it's the same thing with going to get I'm going to a chiropractor when my feet hurt. It's like you're going to the wrong person. And so I just had one of my clients. She is in business and called the bank and wanted to set an appointment, and they set an appointment. And I said, make sure that person is a small business banker, because you don't need to necessarily talk to, this person, that person. And so you want to put yourself in a position with the relationship that you have to try your best to talk to a decision maker, right? Because you could be in a situation where you're having a conversation with someone who is really just a note taker, and they take that information, they pass it along to someone. In this day and age, that the way banks are set up, a lot of banks don't even have people in the branch. I, again, got another client. She was looking at some lending, and here in the Wake County area, the bank will remain nameless. She had to talk to somebody out of Florida because there was no, and so that also has a lot to do with not only establishing a relationship with the banker, but making sure that the relationship is beneficial to you. Right. That's the thing too. Like, if you establish a relationship with a banker, then what does that look like? What should it look like? What do you want it to look like? Because, some people may be okay with that, but that's difficult, because it could be a situation where they don't know the current market. You definitely won't. It's a long distance relationship. So it is very critical, if you're going anywhere with your business, to establish a relationship with a banker or bankers.
Yeah. And the story, I'm assuming, is important too, because when you are in constant communication with the same person or the same few people, they know your story, they know your history, and the details don't get muddled down. I think that's important too.
Yeah.
Okay. So I get credit card offers in the mail all the time, personal, business. And I often wonder, what's stopping me from just taking advantage of one of these? Why do I need to go and talk with my bank first? Or why do I need to consider anything else when they're just sending me this stuff? What would I be doing that would hurt me if I were to jump on one of those deals? Say a credit card, low interest rate, business. Just want to know, because they throw them at you. Here they come in the mail every day. I'm not hearing you at this point.
I'm so sorry.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's no coincidence or secret that we as Americans just passed on the consumer side over $1 trillion in debt when it comes to credit cards. Right, over $1 trillion and so it is no secret, no surprise. In addition to that, and this is a game, and this is nothing negative. People perish for a lack of knowledge. And so if you don't have the right information, you really can't make the right decision. And so this is nothing. So one of the highest profit margin items that banks have and financial institutions have are credit cards, right? Why would I give you something with $20,000 that's at 7 or 8% when I can give you something that's $20,000 at 29%? Right. Yeah, I'm gonna give you a little sweet deal where you think for 6 months or 12 months it's gonna be 0% interest. But I've already run the numbers. I know the game. I know by that time you will not have it paid down, because you will only be paying interest only, and that balance will still be there. And so we'll recoup all the money that it seems like you saved. And so here's what I would encourage people to do. When you look at access to capital, it should have a purpose, right? Your debt should have a destination. Yes. And so if I am utilizing it for a reason, then yeah. But if I just want it just because I want it, and I'm not talking about anybody on this line, I'm talking about your cousin. We as Americans have not shown that we have the stewardship, the discipline to even handle credit cards properly, because we are in severe debt when it comes to credit cards. I have been there. Please don't mistake anything that I'm saying that I am above. I have been there, you name it. And so in a lot of cases, Tiffany, it is dangerous to take advantage of those credit cards when you don't have a destination for that debt. Because what could happen is, if you don't have a clear business plan, if you're not, you may say, oh, okay, I need it for marketing. Well, your message isn't clear just yet. So what are you marketing?
Mm-hmm.
A person may not have the discipline yet not to commingle those funds and go out and utilize them for things that are not necessary. So I would encourage everybody that your debt needs to have a destination. So allow that to have a purpose. Be very purpose and strategic about business capital. I unfortunately know many people. I talked to them where I know a young lady who has who did just that, took advantage of business credit. She started a business, does not have a business plan, does not have a marketing plan, and she already has $76,000 in business debt and has not made a dollar. Right?
It just cuts me deep.
And so, you know, again, I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just trying to give you some information that will equip you with the ability to make a good decision.
Yeah, yeah. And easy money is not always great money. So like you said, credit card companies are counting on people who don't know what's ahead, right? And they're thinking, okay, we're going to get as much as we can out of them. And the history tells them that that will be successful, and it is. So
it's
we have to be
short-term
careful
debt.
of those short-term.
Well, and so the utilization of the proper debt instrument is critical. All right, that might have sounded like a lot. So use the right thing for the right purpose. And so when you're going out utilizing business capital and a credit card on your business for a debt that's going to last longer than a year, longer than 9 to 6 months, that's not the purpose of a credit card, because that debt that's going to be established for a longer period of time should be termed out. Termed out means it has an end date, right? So here it is, you're buying a piece of equipment, or you're buying a vehicle, or you're buying a piece of real estate. I mean, I hear it all these days, stack credit cards about that should be termed out. In addition to that, term loans typically have lower interest rates. So if we're really talking business and we're talking margins, what sense does it make to utilize a credit card for $100,000 and get a 25% interest rate when you could possibly get an 8, 9, 10, 7% interest rate? You have just saved yourself 16%. And if we're talking numbers, and your business did $100,000, but you paid $16,000 in interest, that's $16,000 that's not going to your bottom line.
Exactly.
So just again, information that we like to give clients so they can make a great decision.
Yes. Okay. Speaking of decisions, one more role I'll throw out there.
All right.
Say a fourth or fifth.
I said roll on.
Okay, rolling. A fourth, fifth year industrial entrepreneur is looking to upgrade heavy equipment. They need solid contracts before making such an investment, because that's a lot of money. Big equipment costs big money. And they don't want to jump into that without knowing there's work ahead to let them pay for that equipment. How do they go about chasing that kind of information, you know, getting contracts and whatnot so that they can afford to grow their businesses?
So the angle that I'm going to take is I won't give them advice on how to acquire contracts, but I'll give live real examples of people who have acquired contracts and how they leverage those contracts to access capital. So I had a client who did work for the state of North Carolina, and they were able to get a 3-year contract for $12 million. And so as a result of that contract, they were required to put offices in different counties. And so when you put offices in different counties, that means what? That means you have to scale up. And as a result of scaling up, you have to hire people. And so her concern was that the state of North Carolina had payment plans and accounts receivables called AR of 90 to 120 days. So what that means is I have this contract, but the provider of the contract won't pay me for 90 to 120 days. Well, everybody listening, we're shouting and going crazy, $12 million, but 90 days, that's three payments that have to be made to employees. And so what she did was she was able to do what's called accounts receivable lending. There are lenders out there. Now, and here's where it's critical to talk about financial institutions and banks. Your bank has a box and it operates in that box. And sometimes that box is a location-driven box. Sometimes that box is a revenue-driven box. Sometimes that box is an industry-driven box. As a result of Barbour Companies being a firm that's independent, we have access to over 100 different lenders. And so where maybe a company has a box that not favorable with a bank, we can go to other lenders. And so in this case, some banks don't do accounts receivables. And so in this case, she was able to get a loan off of her contract, her accounts receivables, that gave her not only some cash flow, but then had a relationship with me and the bank that I was with at the time, where we extended her a line of credit just as a buffer, because her payroll was $200,000 a month. Great. And so that's ways, and that's the beauty of the crossroad to capital. There are a lot of businesses out there right now that have that challenge. It's like, Corey, we are blowing up and I am so tired of using my money. It's the slowest way to grow. Or I just got a contract with DOT, but they pay me in 90-day increments. I got to pay people. I got to put gas in vehicles. And so if you don't get the right information in reference to what options are out there and you don't have the right strategy, that contract will kill you. So that's some information that we utilize to kind of walk our customers and our clients through a process to help position them where they can leverage those things. So that's what I would encourage them to do, especially being 4 or 5 years in. They have a track record, they have tax returns, profit and loss statements, hopefully. And if they don't, then we can coach them and get them where they need to be.
That's where the coaching comes in. So we've talked about big money. Let's scale it down a little bit. Talk about small money. Okay. Someone just coming into business. They need to get on the map. They need exposure. They need advertising. They need promotional marketing materials, So if they just want a little bit of money to get started, how can they do that responsibly without using their own money?
So there's a couple things that I would encourage. So my coach told me, Corey, you've been doing something for 20 years and nobody knows you. That camera that you have in your hand that acts as a phone, turn it around and talk to the people. Tell them who you are.
Uh-oh, we're frozen. Stand by. Stand by, everyone. Technical difficulties. Let me see if I can get Corey unfrozen. Okay.
All
so
right.
Okay, you're back. You were frozen for just a second.
Okay. So what you do is, one, as far as marketing, I think sometimes we negate the ability to just turn on the camera and have a clear message and talk to the people. And I'll say, as a banker, a lot of times when people come in and say, I need money for marketing, and they don't utilize free options, it is a little bit of a red flag. So for a new business that is utilizing money for marketing, that's when we go back to being very strategic with the use of personal funds that they already have, or possibly utilizing a business credit card. Because again, your business is a baby. And when you go to access capital, they want to see, what has the baby done? What kind of revenue has been produced? In addition to that, not your businesses, none of your businesses, nobody hearing this, but the businesses that are not listening, a lot of them fail within the first 2 to 3 years. And so if you had the opportunity to lend money to me, and I have a brand new business where I make sweet tea because I just love sweet tea, and I've only been doing it 2 or 3 months, and I say I need $10,000, or you have an opportunity to lend money to Tiffany, who is killing the game with Friendpreneurship for the last 3 to 5 years. She has a proven track record. Who would you lend money to? And so with that, I've had clients that utilize and leverage some investment money that they have, some 401k money. There's ways to leverage that, which this is not the place to get into that. But also this may be the time, if you have the right appetite and stewardship and discipline, to utilize a business credit card. And that is not uncommon. Now, there are also other ways to access money for new businesses through Small Business Administration, through SBA loans. And SBA loans need to utilize projections and things of that nature. And so that's also a way, but a quick hit is a business credit card, or even in a lot of cases, some people use personal credit cards.
And when all of that money that you've set aside personally has been used,
Yes.
and when the SBA says, well, you still work a full-time job for another employer and you're not a
Yeah.
full-time entrepreneur, so you don't qualify, and you're just kind of back to square one.
Yes.
You think of ways like, okay, you've got a house, there's some equity. Should I dig into that? I mean, there are lots of things that go through your mind when you come to these roadblocks. So I guess this is where the coaching comes in, huh?
Well, this is where the coaching comes in to make sure you get the right information. Again, anytime I hear, even as a banker, anytime I hear marketing, I hear something that is not a surefire return, right? So for instance, tonight is going to be critical for me to replay and watch my communication, because that's marketing. Was I concise at what we do and how we do it? Did I talk about P3, which is we help prepare, we help provide capital, and then we partner with people? Because in a lot of cases, when bankers hear marketing, it could possibly be a lot of fluff. You could market the wrong thing. So in a lot of cases, when businesses are starting up and they're looking at investing money, marketing is not something that is the top of the line. That may not get you your best return instead of infrastructure or expertise. So just be careful with that, because there is no guarantee that marketing is the way, especially with all of, we're marketing right now. And the fruit, the seed that we planted was at a Chamber of Commerce event where I was like, I see this woman, I need to know who she is. She has a wonderful haircut with a part. Obviously, I love part. I think I said that to you, like, sister, what this part right here, this fade that you got, and so so yes.
Corey, let me just say this. Okay, so when it comes to the marketing materials, when you have to actually spend money,
yes,
to put on an event or to get the ball rolling, that's money coming out. And I see the value of having a conversation to get the coaching, so that very specific information from my specific needs can be discussed. So we'll definitely do that. And I wish we had more time to talk about different scenarios, but the 5 C's that you gave us earlier and the 3 P's, I want to go back to the 5 C's for just a second. Let me see if I remember them. Capital, cash flow, help me out.
Collateral, condition, right, and character. Okay. And so we didn't really say them all. These are the bedrocks of what financial institutions use to make a decision, yes or no. Character. Do we have time to go through them real quick?
Go ahead. Yeah, I have time if you do.
I'm not going to be Baptist tonight. Shout out to my beautiful Baptist brothers and sisters. Character in essence is who you are, who your business is. And please don't get it twisted. Banks and financial institutions are looking at your social media page. They're looking to see, who are we lending money to, because that's a partnership. Condition. What is the condition of the market? What is the condition of your business? Right? During the pandemic, was it a good time? Was it good conditions to start a restaurant, a sit-down restaurant? Capital. What type of capital do you have to put into it? Right? Here we go. Tiffany, you and I are going to go in business together, and it's going to cost us $20,000. And you say, well, Corey, how much do you have to put in it? I don't have anything. I just got a little turtleneck I'm gonna wear, and I'm gonna put on glasses. I'm gonna talk. Sir, right? Capital. What they say, skin in the game. What kind of skin in the game do you have? And it's interesting. I talk to entrepreneurs and small business all the time, and they don't have capital. And so cash flow. Cash flow is the extra. It's the means by which you pay for the additional debt. It undergirds the new debt. Right. And so if your business is making X amount of dollars in excess, that excess money has the means to cover a $250,000 loan. That's when we start getting into debt service coverage ratios and making sure the numbers make sense, because sometimes entrepreneurs think that they need $100,000 or $300,000. Their cash flow doesn't support it. right? So if you need $300,000 and then we look at your profit and loss statement and we look at your net on your tax returns and you made $3,278 and the monthly payment on $3,000 is $2,500, you have 1 month of payment available. So you don't have the cash flow. And credit, right? Credit, that's personal and business. A lot of people think we hear this no recourse thing, and be careful with that, because I want you to think like a banker. I want you to think like an entrepreneur. I come to you and I say, listen, I want to borrow $100,000 from you. I've got a business, but I tell you what, I don't want to be responsible. I don't want my name anywhere on this loan. In your mind, you should be thinking, well, I'll be doggone. If you don't believe in it, why would I? And so there are certain levels where you can get non-recourse loans. However, you are the business, and the decisions that you make and have made in the past, in a lot of cases, are predictors on future investments and decisions. So yes, they are looking at personal credit in addition to business. So I encourage businesses and entrepreneurs to try your best to position yourself to be as clean and healthy as you can, because it will be a reflection on your business. And so those are really quick, kind of talking about the 5 C's. And these are the things, if in essence, this would be the report card, and there are ways to affect every category, and there are things that you need to know about every category.
Yeah, that makes sense. We are our business, and we'll hear it from a different angle. Some people will say, make sure you keep it completely, totally separate. But hearing it from the financial experts' angle or point of view, it does make sense that we are connected to that business, and we have to reflect what we want them to see our business as.
Well, and yes, you do keep it separate, but when going to borrow money, the bank is going to want to see a personal financial statement. Well, why do they want to see a personal financial statement? Because it should line up with business, and they should be able to track money. So if you have a large distribution of $250,000 on your personal financial statement, we should be able to see that. And it'll justify and mitigate different issues. And so, yes, keep things separate, keep things very clean, but ultimately it is you and your business going to the bank together.
Yes, makes sense. Good. All right. So as much as I would like to role play, I have to move on and ask you about Barbour Companies. Okay.
Yeah.
And you're giving all the financial advice and you're helping other people. Who helps Barbour Companies?
Oh, I love this.
Who do you depend on as a friendpreneur?
So I like speed. And in order to get speed, I had to pay somebody. And so Barbour Companies invest 5 figures annually into continuing education, into coaching, into counseling, into those places that our businesses have holes. And so I am a big fan of paying people for information, for strategy, for systems and accountability. And that way I don't have to make certain mistakes. And so that's what I do, because it gives me speed. In addition to that, I have a beautiful circle, starting with my wife, who sees my blind spots, who knows me like no other. And so she betters me. She challenges me. We were going through a beautiful financial time where something changed, and I thought it was devastating. She was like, good, it's about time. It's so much more in you. And I'm like, well, listen, doggone it. If you got that faith, I'm gonna ride with you. Just know I might have to borrow some money, but I'm riding with you. And so that, along with coaches and entrepreneur friends, my best friend since I was 13 years old, which is over 30 years, is an entrepreneur who has multiple businesses and has for the last decade or so. And so I lean on him. I don't think I have a ton of pride. So I'm always trying to learn. Tiffany, a lot of your stuff looks so amazing, stuff that you send me. And I'm sitting here like, man, I need to tighten up on my backstroke based on the things that you're doing. So I try to always keep myself in a posture of learning, but don't get it twisted. I invest in myself so I can show up a certain way. So I know certain things, so I don't make certain costly mistakes.
Absolutely. I love what you said about your circle, the people that are close to you. I went to a women's conference I think it was the summertime, and Judge Victoria Pratt was our keynote. She said something that stuck with me. 90% of your success depends on your peer circle.
Yeah.
So surround yourself with people who can lift you higher, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Friendpreneurship is all about that. And talking with you, subject matter expert in your field of finance, lets me get the information that I need to avoid the mistakes that I don't have to make. That is so
Right.
valuable to me. I want to pass that along to other friendpreneurs, which is why we have our upcoming membership and whatnot, to get us in the room to have conversations like this where we have more time, and we can pour into each other and we can receive
Yeah.
from one another. So that's what Friendpreneur Fam is all about. And I'm excited about that. That's coming up soon. I want to make sure that people know how to reach Corey Barbour.
Yeah.
They've heard what you've had to say. They've been watching. Oh, you have a very strong presence online. I've watched some of your the information you put on LinkedIn. You're in front of the camera. You are delivering this advice, and there's a consistency in your message, in your messaging. There's depth and breadth, and I just commend you for that. And I want to make sure that people know how to get to this information if they haven't seen it yet. There's a plethora of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah.
have something coming up too on the 24th.
Yeah. Yeah. So on the 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we're going to do a no cost free workshop where we're going to unlock some of the secrets when it comes to business capital. And we're talking anywhere from $100,000 to $1 million. And so if that's something that you're interested in attending, it will be via Zoom. You can text the word capital to 844-519-1999, 844-519-1999. And you can text the word capital and we'll send you out a link. In addition to that, like Tiffany said, I'm on most platforms, Facebook, Instagram. It is Corey, Corey, L, the letter L is in love. That's not my middle name, but you don't need to know my middle name. That's between me and my mom and daddy. And look, everybody go search. What is that, boy? Barbour. And in the South, we say Barbour, but it's Barbour. It's Barbour. And if you feel like you, again, P3 is our model. It is one, we prepare entrepreneurs and small businesses to access the capital that we know they need, right? If you're in that place where you really don't have the information to be able to make good decisions or the strategy, or you've been turned down, that's the prepare part. Click on our link. You can schedule a time where we can talk. If you are there already, where you're like, Corey, we're buying a building in 3 months. We need $600,000. You can click that and have a conversation. We can get that going. If you have clients that we serve the same type of client, but you may serve them in a different capacity, let's talk about partnering. We have a wonderful affiliate program where we have certificates of appreciation, which are money. And I love partnering with people because I would much rather give you money opposed to give it to Google and Facebook for advertising. And so that's how you can contact us. We would love to support you. I would love to get more feedback in reference to the content. Thank you for that feedback, Tiffany. But also, you all, if there's something more that you want to hear more of, obviously tax time is coming. And so there's some critical conversations that businesses need to have with their tax professionals if you are going into a season of borrowing money. And so that's how you can get in contact with me. We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to serve you.
Awesome. I'm going to continue following you on LinkedIn. I'm going to definitely have a conversation. It's on my to-do list, Corey. You know how that goes. You got to do, push it down, move it over. It's coming because the wheels are turning and I want to make sure I'm making good choices. All right, good. Thank you so much for joining us. Any last words of advice?
You know, friendpreneurship is, there's a passage that talks about the safety in the multitude of counsel. And in a lot of cases, safety is guardrails. Safety is good advice. Safety is getting snatched up saying, no. You put how much towards that? Wait a minute. And so friendpreneurship has shown itself to be a great place of visionaries, of course, supporting visionaries, but a great place where counsel is in place. I mean, we've had some wonderful events that I had the opportunity to attend and just connect. And so I can't encourage you all enough to get involved, to get back in these streets, because everything we need is inside of us. And we have to execute. Information is not enough. The execution of information is what's necessary. And so I'm just so grateful to have met you and complimented your part and your fade. And here we are with still with parts and fades. So we're gonna keep it going. I got a little more gray hair now, but it's all right.
Seasoning.
Yes, season. Is that your season? Yes. Thank you, Lord.
All right. Thank you so much. One final announcement. We have a Friendpreneur Fam pre-launch event coming up January 30th. It'll be 6 o'clock at Winston's Grill on Falls of News Road. This is an information session for anyone interested in joining the new Friendpreneur Fam. I'm so excited about it. You'll hear more in the coming days about it. Stay tuned. Meanwhile, keep following Barbour Companies and keep following Friendpreneurship for more information about how you can be successful in your entrepreneurial journey. Thank you so much for joining us. Everybody have a good night. Bye, Corey.
See you later.